Hello and welcome to Dungeoneered, a podcast dedicated to discussing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
Let's do this. Okay, I don't know if you could hear that. I hope it wasn't the case, but I hit my nose on my microphone pretty hard and it hurt.
Well, I couldn't hear it on my end, so that's good.
Okay. Well, I'm about to sneeze, so give me a sec.
Okay. I think this is the worst opening we've ever had, which is a surprise because we've had some bad openings in the past, my guy.
We really have, but hey, there's always a chance to top it, and this one just topped, I think, all of them, to be honest.
Seemingly it did.
Okay, but this is the perfect segue, though. I don't know how it's going to be the perfect segue, but it is the perfect segue to the Lukewarm Open.
Okay.
Because when you think of villains, who do you think of? Quick. No pressure.
Yeah, my mind just went so blank.
I need an answer.
So fast.
I need an answer.
Okay,
Oh,
Tyrene Calypso.
What? Who's that?
She's the main villain of Borderlands 3.
Oh, okay. I was like, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, I was trying to think of anyone, and they were like, every single one was running from my brain. I thought Hades first, and I'm like, he's not really a villain. Then I thought Tyrene Calypso, but then I'm like, Aaron wouldn't know that. Why would I say that? And then you're like, no, I gotta have an answer. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll just say the one that I could think of, Tyrene Calypso.
Oh, no. My hopes and dreams are being destroyed. I was hoping you were going to say Voldemort because of the whole nose thing.
I can't help you, my guy. I don't just watch / listen / read Harry Potter.
Okay, well, I don't know. I don't
That would
think
never.
he's
That would
nose-
be. That would be my last option. My last thing that I would say.
Well, I don't think he's noseless in the books, but I don't remember. But in the movies, he's noseless. Mm-hmm. And I talked about my nose. So that's why it was a perfect segment. And he's a villain. And he's a good villain. But for the Lukewarm Open, since we've been kind of doing this like little mini series within our series, I wanted to talk about a little bit about villains, which we did an episode forever ago, if I remember correctly, about some villains. But I wanted to get your headspace, what you think about when you're creating a villain. Like, what is the inside scoop when Josh creates a villain?
My number one thing that irks me in any media, whether it's fantasy or just any media where there's a villain, is a villain that's, one, an idiot, and two, doesn't actually, like, they don't have a compelling motivation for why they want world destruction or whatever they want.
So you don't like Slaughter for the case of Slaughter?
No, I think that's okay. I think
Okay.
I think a villain that, like, in their backstory, like in the history of them, has some reason to become a person that would just be like, I just want blood. I just want to kill. Like, but something has to happen. People aren't naturally like that. Well, whether it was a really hard childhood or like whatever had to happen for that to be the case, that they were like, I want to kill everybody. I want blood everywhere. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. That's got to happen. There's got to be something in the backstory to make that fit. And also, once that fits, you have to keep to that. So you have to have the villain continue. So one of the things I think of when I'm creating a villain is, one, what are they trying to accomplish? What would have to happen in their life for them to want to accomplish that? And then what is it in a perfect world where they are not stopped? What does the world look like?
Okay, so here's my question then, kind of within the topic of villains and within what you just said. What is your favorite type of villain? Do you like a villain that like is like has moral conundrums where it's like, I'm doing this for the greater good, or like, what I think is the greater good? Do you like villains who are just like purely objectively evil? Who
the majority of my villains are doing it for what they think the betterment of the world is. That's what the majority of my villains are. Now, every so often I'll throw in a villain that is just a villain for a reason that is so against what the party would ever want to believe that it is. There's no morality in, we have to kill this person. It's just, hey, this person needs to die. Because always having moral ambiguity, every kill that the party has being like, ooh, should we have done that? Should we not? Is not always fun. It's good to have those villains that are just like, that is literally the demon Jasheen, and it just kills because it wants to kill. It has
Yeah,
a
I'm
lust
always
for
torn.
power and is crazy.
Yeah, well, like on this subject, I'm always torn when A, making a villain, and then also B, as a player, like being able to, fight a villain, is I'm not sure if I like moral ambiguity more or less than I like just straight up like somebody is just pure evil and is just murdering and destroying stuff. Both creating a villain and being a player, like experiencing a villain in a campaign.
One of my favorite things, which I'm actually have in the works right now, is a villain that one of the party believes wholeheartedly they are just a villain to be a villain. They're the most horrible, wretched person in the world. But everything that the party sees doesn't show that. So the party's like, hey, because we're a party, we're going to help him. But there's this sense of, should we be helping with this? So even though they're still going out of their way to do it, it's like there is tension between the party, even if it is unspoken.
Well, yeah, so that's one thing as a player that I enjoy but also don't enjoy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Because, like, I love I do love the politics and the, like, what is actually morally good in this situation, and, especially villains who are, like, killing people to, like, save the world from some other greater evil or something, or they're doing something to the world to save the world from a greater evil, even though what they're doing is evil. I like those to be, like, mid-level bad guys, like, mid-campaign bad guys, because it adds a little bit of interesting flair to a portion of the game, especially like level 1 and 2 and 3, where it's like, okay, like we're killing goblins and stuff like that. So it gives like a little bit more of like a unique and interesting twist. But like, I don't know, I find it boring when like your big bad evil guy is like, ha ha ha, I am a ruler of the stars and I am saving your planet for the greater good because there's another evil ruler of the stars.
Yeah, I definitely think it's nice to have a big bad evil guy that is purely evil. I think that's definitely fun.
Well, and then like, when I'm playing too, sometimes even like, people, when I'm playing and I'm playing somebody who's like neutral or like, is okay with some things that are kind of like, questionable. I can feel like bad and guilty when I do that. So
Yeah.
it can be really hard for me to like get in the headspace of like, creating a villain who's that way.
See, now one of the things I like to do is have multiple factions as an ending, like where there's multiple sides to whatever the big conflict is.
So like you could have joined Gondor, you could have joined Mordor type thing.
Yeah, so there is a moral ambiguity between those choices, between which, like, because each one has benefits and negatives to them.
Right.
And one of the things that I found in the games that I've run is that once the parties decide which team they want to join, even if you don't change anything, you keep the moral ambiguity there. They in their heads will fully make it, those guys are the bad guys, we're the good guys.
They like try to justify everything they do.
And so you don't, no, they don't, they almost think they don't need justification because, hey, we're the good guys. We just do that. And like, there's still that moral ambiguity and you don't quite understand what's going on, but they decide like, this is for sure the right way to go.
No, totally. So when creating like a bad guy with like this moral ambiguity, the classic one is always like from Marvel, like Thanos, because he's like, the world is dying, I need to get rid of half the world to save the other half. Like when you're creating a villain like that, what do you do with their backstory? What's the thought process in making somebody like that? Which I know can be kind of like a pretty broad question,
I think the biggest thing is it needs to be set somewhere. Like I don't create a villain in a world that's not built. I create a world, then I put a villain in it because of what's going on in that world and what that villain might have experienced that causes them to
Totally, totally. I guess what I'm more getting at is like, what are the characteristics that you look for in a villain that way? Like, are
I
they
look for a
like
loss of innocence.
a
So
loss of innocence?
so at
Boy.
early on in their history, they have this innocence that they maybe like a lot of times I will make it align with what the party think is good. The innocence that they have, they believed the same things the party did, and maybe they were even adventurers like the party, and they wanted to save the world like the party does. And something has to happen to kind of break them, to cause them to be like, "Hey, I was wrong. I shouldn't try to save all these people. I'm just gonna kill anyone that like say it's somebody who just like who they're like a paladin who they changed their ways from I'm gonna save everybody to no, if you break the law, I'm killing you. I'm not bringing you back
Right,
to
right.
justice because they let that happen too many times, and someone ransacked a village, killing hundreds of people because
Yeah,
they
and
had
made
let
it
them
worse.
live. And so they're
Right,
like,
and now they just kill and
yes,
murder. They
yeah,
just,
they're like, I will
you know,
never let
whoever.
that happen again
Right.
because I'll stop it early on. And so like that kind of loss of innocence can be such a good motivation for a character and also make them relatable to the party because at one point they were like the party.
No,
And maybe
totally.
they even
Yeah.
like try to bring the party in because they're like you have to see what's going on here. These people
Well,
could
that
come back and do so much more damage. You got to stop letting them live.
Well, that kind of brings me actually into my next question. I know we're getting a little bit long, but my next question on this topic is like, what do you think of as a player and a DM of like likable villains, like charismatic and charming villains that like
I love it.
are they, like they communicate with the party, they're constantly engaging with the party.
Mm-hmm.
The party kind of likes them. They're not sure,
Yeah.
exactly if they're villains.
Yeah, I like that. I love the friend or quest giver that then becomes the villain, and maybe even the
Right.
quest they were giving you we're actually helping them on their evil route, and it's not till later that the party's like, oh crap, we gave him that thing when we went to that dungeon or like whatever. I think that can be
'cause
really
those,
fun.
I think those are my favorite villains as a DM and as a player because like I love trying to weed out like who is the villain. Like who is like in all the people that we know, who is the problem right now? Um which you have to be really careful as a DM though because you can easily say you had a villain planned in your mind and the party figured it out too quick so you change it and that can feel kind of like cheating, you know what I'm saying? So you have to be kind of careful when you're a DM in that situation because like people can immediately catch on like this guy's bad. We know he's bad.
But no, see,
Even though
I think that's fun. What I would
switching
do,
it up and changing it.
yeah, no, not changing it. I think you let it play out as that's my favorite thing. I like to set
Absolutely.
up a world and let it play out. I don't want to. I'm not going to change the players in the world. I'm purely gonna make them do what they would do in that situation. So if
No,
they find
absolutely.
out super early on that this person that you wanted them to befriend and be friends with for a while is a villain, how would that person respond to that? Would they just say, "Yes, I do these things. Come join me"? Would they say,
Guess what you said? Guess what you said? You said doo doo. Okay, continue. Sorry. Sorry. It's happened to me, so now I just have to do it every time.
so would they say, "Come join me," or would they say, "Screw you, I'll deal with you later," or would they want other try to kill the party, or would they just say, "Fine, whatever, live in your ignorance. I'm gonna go complete my thing"? Because any of those solutions would be a really interesting way for that to end. And if the party kills this person before like the end of the game, just make it a mid-tier boss.
No,
Make
totally.
make it
No, absolutely.
make it make them a person that was influenced by some sort of greater person, some sort of higher level evil person that had shared their ideas and beliefs with this NPC that they'd made friends with. So it was they will instead of having the enemy be this friend, the enemy was somebody who had tainted their friend, or at least that's how they'll see it. So they'll still have that personal connection to the villain that will make them even more motivated to take them down.
No, absolutely. And kind of my last question, which builds off of what you just said again, kind of in relating to this, is has your party ever created a villain by actions that they did? Like, have you ever gone that route? Because, like, I've done campaigns, and even, like, our current campaign, there's, like, people who are bad, but there's not, like, currently there's not, well, that's not true, but, like, currently in your sphere of people, there's not, like, you know, one overarching villain who's, like, controlling this, thing against you or whatever, or, planning on destroying the world of any kind right now, but at least within your sphere. But things that you've done have definitely turned people against you in certain ways.
Yeah, we've definitely made Serrano character in your game at least wary, if not a full-on enemy of us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you guys have murdered a bunch of his men. You've taken his slaves.
I mean, he knows. Yeah. He has one of our members' sisters as a slave. He knows this.
Yeah, that's because you guys betrayed him, so he did it on purpose.
Yeah, it sounds like he had her beforehand, but time to end this lukewarm open and begin on the topic.
Yep, totally.
So, we record on Sundays. I was on call this week, so I haven't 100% finished all of my research for this topic, but I have most of it down.
Like I was telling you earlier, Josh, we're professional.
We are professional.
This is just a totally professional podcast.
And so I just wanted to give you all that heads up. I've literally just worked a 10-hour shift, and I'm here, ready to record and do this. So, this week, I will also say, honestly, this has been one of the weirdest things that I've researched in the Forgotten Realms, and I adore it, and I need it in 5th edition so bad.
Now, yeah, I can't tell if this is, like, a good thing, because you've told me this multiple times. Like, I can't tell if this is, like, a good thing or if it's, like, a bad thing.
The thing is, I don't know. I do not know. It is so... Because, okay, I'm just going to tell you, it's a subclass. It's a subclass for wizard, but it kind of turns the wizard into a warlock, but also grants them benefits because of this, but also grants them negatives, and it kind of like completely changes the class of wizard completely, and I love it. I think it's super weird, and I would love to see how it would be done in a 5th edition class, like how they do the subclasses, like how it would be balanced.
Interesting. Okay.
So, this week we're continuing our creation of early history races in our world for Season 4. So I found
Season 4 is going to be like long.
Oh, it's going to be long,
like,
but it's I
we're
love
going like full bore.
Yeah, I love this like detailed, dedicated. I love how we're doing it this season more than I have the other seasons.
We're like actually creating like a full on world with like full on everything.
And I love it. So, I found an interesting group in part of the Forgotten Realms called Zakara. This group is actually a subclass for 4th edition, and it is also in 3rd and 2nd edition. It's a subclass for wizard called a Sha'ir. Now, I could totally be butchering that pronunciation. Who knows?
I mean, what's the % chance that you're butchering that pronunciation?
I have no idea.
Sha'ir.
It's SHA apostrophe IR.
I mean, if I did like Sha'ir, that sounds funny too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, that's where the Hobbit live. That's where the hobbits live. The Sha'ir.
The shower.
I live in the shower.
That's where all the sharpest
I'm one of them hobbits. I live in the shower. But no, so these wizards focused upon the elements and the spirits that controlled them, called genies.
Ooh.
Some Zakarans actually held the belief that all of the races of Zakara had genie blood inside them, but it manifests stronger in those who become Sha'ir.
Quick disclaimer. Favorite subclass for Warlock is the genie one.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
So this is pretty much that if it moved and had some weird effects on the wizard class. Now, the Sha'ir are interesting in quite a few ways. They don't have any requirements to the subclass, but dealing with genies is always fickle. So at least requires someone brave, confident, and willing to deal with genies. Interestingly, since this subclass worked through genies, some groups that restricted the practice of magic actually allow Sha'ir because they believe them as something different. Now, Sha'ir are conduits for genies and the elements. It was even stated that some genies, if they are asked to work with people, or even when they're forced to work with people, require a Sha'ir to be there.
Okay, really quick, and I may have missed this. What is like a genie in D&D? Is it like an elemental? Is that what it is?
It's like an elemental that is also a powerful spellcaster and powerful I think kind of like you know how powerful like an archfey is, and how like all the warlock patrons. It's like if something was on tier with those, but it was also its birth and its what it is based around the elements. So it's an elemental that's as powerful as an archfey, is a way of thinking about it.
Got it. Because I know they're in the monster manual and they're like, CR 11 and 15 or whatever, but like, and I know there's like different types.
Yeah, there's like a Tao, there's the earth element Tao, there's the Merid, that's the water, there's the Ifrit.
That's the strongest one, right?
That's the fire. I don't know. I don't remember which one is the highest CR.
I think it. I don't remember either.
No,
I was gonna say I think it is, but now I don't know.
Yeah, the Sha'ir would make a contract with the genie. They would summon them in the normal way, and that they would discuss terms. And if they could impress the genie and come up with a deal that the genie liked enough, then they would make this contract. This contract was not magically binding and could be broken by either side. Only obligation held each side of the deal together. The Society of Genies saw these contracts as good and allowed them and others into the culture, even allowing Sha'ir to move up in the genie culture based on the power of the genies that they had deals with.
Oh, interesting.
Now, these deals could backfire on evil Sha'ir. If the Sha'ir was abusive and controlling of their genie, when the contract closed, they would be summoned by a vengeful genie to pay for their actions. Now, despite being a subclass, the Sha'ir heavily alter the way wizards actually work. A Sha'ir doesn't memorize or study spells like most wizards.
Uh-oh.
They get it like a warlock from their patron, the genie. They can't create magic items. They don't use spells like wizards do either. They don't even have a spell book. But for these losses, they gained a lot of unique qualities, abilities unlike these seen in any D&D 5th edition as of right now.
So my question is, why aren't they just sorcerers,
I mean, they literally could be warlocks or anything, but they decided to make them a subclass of wizard, and I kind of love that.
Yeah,
it's weird. It totally would fit with other ones, but they're like, no. This is a wizard. Now, Sha'ir have the spell Find Familiar, but they can get unique familiars called Gen. Gen are small elementals, one from each elemental plane. These familiars are fiercely loyal to Sha'ir. To summon them,
you get like a fire spirit or something, or
yeah, kind of. They all are like shortened names of the higher level genies. They're just small genie kind. To summon them, you'd need to perform a ritual that lasted for many hours. The Sha'ir would fast and commune, working with the nature, specifically with the element associated with the plane that they were trying to summon the Gen from. These Gen became essential to a Sha'ir and their way of magic. To cast a spell, they need to know it exists, then they will send the Gen to get it from a vast network of genie knowledge. So as long as they've seen a spell, they're just like, I want to cast Fireball. And this little Gen will transport itself to the plane with the genie knowledge, grab the spell, bring it back to the Sha'ir, and the Sha'ir can cast it.
That is so interesting. That is so interesting.
Yeah, now because of that, as they don't have a spell book, they don't have any need to prepare or memorize spells. They know all spells they've seen. They just have to ask the Sha'ir to go get it. I mean, they have to ask the Gen to go get
it. Oh, man. They don't even have to, do any work.
To To call upon a spell, you need to know it exists. The article said all basic spells are considered common knowledge. But for other spells, the Sha'ir need to actually see them and be used to request them. So, technically, their prep spells are infinite as long as they've seen a spell they can cast.
That's wild. That's so busted.
No, see, it's held back in a few ways. But also, this sometimes even transcends the wizard's spell list. Because as long as the spell is reachable by the Gen, they can try and cast it. Some Sha'ir have even been known to request cleric spells. Because the cleric spells are given by a god, so the Gen literally will transport to the plane of the god, steal the spell, bring it to the wizard, and the wizard can cast it. Now,
I feel like this could have some serious repercussions.
Well, yes, it can, because depending on how powerful the spell is, this Gen is literally transporting planes to go get these spells. It can bring the attention of strong, powerful monsters, and just strong, powerful people in general. So say if you stole true resurrection from the domain of a god, that god would then be paying a lot of attention to the Sha'ir trying to cast it. Some even being offended that the Sha'ir would even dare to go into its domain and try and steal this spell.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so it could be problematic. But also, when the Gen goes to get it, depending on the strength of the spell, they are gone for a different amount of time. So if you ask for, like, Wish, it could take them... they didn't give examples, so I would say 2 rounds.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So, that would suck.
It would. And as I said...
I'm assuming, like, you wouldn't do that with, like, a fireball or whatever, like, basic spells that,
Yeah, I would kind of
commonly used.
See, that's why I would be really interested to see how they would fit it into 5th edition, because who knows how long they would make these things take? How would they balance it all? I would be really curious to see.
That's crazy. Maybe like wizard spell lists, they would only be 1 turn, but if you're doing stuff off of like the clerics, then you might have more turns. Or, I don't know.
But also, I think it could be really fun to see, because also, if you send your Gen off to get a really powerful spell and they stay for a long time on this other plane, they have a very high chance of dying. Because if something sees them, it literally sees the thing go by it. It could try and kill it. It's not immune. It's not invincible all of a sudden because it's on another plane.
Yeah, that's so
there's a possibility they could just never return your little Gen, and you have to just summon one again.
Huh. Oh, boy. That would suck.
Yeah. Now, some gods who have had Sha'ir steal some of their spells with their Gen have cast a few things or done a few things to people who stole spells. I have a list of 4 here.
Oh.
So one is it literally just says they had the hand of fate turned against the Sha'ir. So just gave them like terrible luck.
Oh gosh. Oh no. Do they have like Sha'ir? Do they have like their own little society then? Right? Like kind of what you were saying.
Well, they're just a subclass of wizard. So they are more prevalent in the Zakaran society, which is different than Faerun. So there's different continents in the world of the Forgotten Realms. Faerun is Europe. Is like kind of like medieval Europe. I'm not sure where Zakara is though.
Interesting.
But it has a real world kind of what it's trying to emulate. I know Kara-Tur is the kind of Asian inspired medieval fantasy. Now, another thing that a god has done is that they've sent a messenger to literally attack the Sha'ir that stole a spell. Another was transported directly to the face of the offended god, directly on their home plane.
Uh-oh.
They're like, you're going to be right here in front of me, and we're going to talk about this.
Oh, no.
Now, the first option that they said, which I don't know what this means, it said, gave them a case of the evil eye?
That sounds like the worst case of pink eye you could possibly ever imagine.
So I'm just going to read the description here. It's not super long. This is the description of evil eye. It was widely believed that every genie had the innate ability to cause misfortune to befall another, simply by looking at them in a distasteful manner. The effects of this curse ranged from a slight case of bad luck to full-blown tragedy. Being magical creatures, genies did not need to be physically present before an individual to invoke this power. They could curse someone with the evil eye simply by spying on them from afar. The evil eye was not necessarily a magical ability, but rather a simple part of life in a land full of genies.
What the heck?
The simplest way to get cursed with the evil eye was to fail to exhibit modesty when presented with a compliment or praise. Performing amazing feats, then boasting about them, usually made genies jealous.
That's pretty funny.
It is. An individual could only remove the evil eye curse through the avert evil eye spell, a remove curse spell, or by performing a specific quest.
A specific quest.
I assume it's for the person who cast the evil eye, so you'd be like, I'm sorry, do you need some work done?
I'm sorry I made you angry. Do you need me to do something for you?
But so they have a lot of other things that these Sha'ir could do, and like they could summon other types of genie to help them, like smaller, lower level genies, and like do all these things. But I think that's enough for us to have a base of for this week's creation. I think the thing that we should create,
really interesting.
They are in this this episode. First off, I think we should do the mountains, which is where the halflings we already said were.
Heck yeah.
But I think we need to create a race here that has some sort of weird magical connection. Maybe it's with genies, maybe it's with something else, but some sort of weird magical connection that kind of influences their whole society.
Did you have anything in mind right off the top of the bat?
I did not. It's not except for the mountains and halflings.
Man, I mean, my first... and hear me out, this is just completely random and possibly really dumb. Do we still want to hear it?
If it relates to halflings, then no.
It doesn't relate to halflings.
I'm just kidding. Go for it.
It does not relate to halflings, so it's even better for you. But I don't know if I even like this.
You have to say it now. You have to say it now. You set it up too much.
I know. So the first thing that my mind went to is in my world, there are magical mushrooms that you can eat and consume that do different things to you. They like stun you, they paralyze you, they make you enlightened, they can do all sorts of things. You have to roll on D100 table. And what if this society in like the mountains found some sort of power source of some kind that like has granted their society some sort of magical ability. And what they do is they like go around and they feed it like spells. Like so they go and like copy down like spells, and they can like some sort of magical like gem, and they can like put the spell into the gem.
Mm-hmm.
And then like each one, like what they carry instead of like a spell book is like some sort of like gem that's connected to the heart of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can like recall spells as long as they're powerful enough. They can recall spells from the gem into their gem in their hand and use them.
I don't know if I would have the whole, like, I don't know if I'd have the whole society do that, but I like that they have, like, maybe it was like what you have in your world where you have this large geode, and that large geode, all it becomes this hive of spells where you can just cast a bunch of spells into it. And I like the idea. I know. I love your idea, and I'm just kind of explaining it in a different way right now.
No, totally.
Before I build on it.
My other thought, though,
was
similar to this. My other thought was similar to this, and I want to do this one really fast, too.
Mm-hmm.
Would be like they have some sort of like ancient elder, and they have like, and this kind of is weird and morbid, I guess, but they could like take pieces of his hair or whatever, and like somehow they can have like a connection to him. So they have like, one has like a fingernail or like, something weird, and they have like a personal connection to their like master elder wizard or whatever, like their chieftain or their, emperor or something like that. And like maybe he's like some ancient old person who's just kept alive by the power of his throne or whatever, and they can like they can like communicate with him and take knowledge from him and cast through that.
Now, I like some of that idea, but I'm gonna throw out a lot of it. I think we should make one society that has the gem, and another
Okay.
that has pieces of an elder. But I think I want it. I have some ideas for that, so I think I'm gonna hold that off until we start talking about that group. But so my ideas for the first one of the group that has the gem is that first off, it only works in a small area around the mountain, so it really just makes people that are around their society stronger if you have these receiving gems.
So you'd have to like stay within your own mountain area.
So, well, the biggest thing is so they're not going to go to war with these. They don't have the ability to go to war and be super strong and powerful. But around their base, they're very strong.
My only other thought in regards to that would be like, depending on which gem you have, you could. So like, there's like a few select like members who can carry like a more powerful gem that they can go further away from the main heart. So maybe like, if there's like if they have,
Well, so
if they are fighting, they have
could,
like a general who carries one.
I would say farther away, it just becomes a ring of spell storing, but it's a gem of spell storing. So it's not like it doesn't have the super powerfulness of the main gem anymore. It's still powerful and lets you be stronger as a spellcaster, but it's not anywhere near the
part
gem.
of me that likes the idea of like, one person out of an army being able to like carry this like extra powerful gem, and like they're like elevated in society, and like in their armies and stuff, like they have them paraded around because they're like able to carry the gem that allows them to cast these spells anywhere, and so that like they're their general, and like they're flaunted in society. And like I could even see there being like competitions over who is best worthy to carry it, and they have like, I mean, you could do anything from like a fun little like battle royale thing where they like fight each other for it. You could do like,
now see,
they drop down into the Underdark, and whoever survives the longest is worthy enough to carry it. Like,
no, see, I like this for one simple reason. Because we're creating prehistoric races, I would like that when we create however this race continues, it's no longer in their possession. They lost it in war.
oh, interesting.
So that's for another episode way in the future. But
No, totally.
I'm okay with it if we decide on this. Because I think that's
absolutely.
I think that's a fun thing. Like, this was a thing in their history that they loved and that they cherished and they saw as incredible and what made them better than a lot of people, and then they lose it.
Do we want this race to be like born from the gem? Like, are they like,
No,
like, is their origin?
I definitely
like,
think that they've started
supposedly-
to worship it like a god. And as we said, when you worship something in this world, it becomes a god.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So I don't know if the gem is actually a god now, or if the gem is just now is a conduit of a god.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm thinking is like this gem is like a massive like structure in their mountain, like this like thing that hangs from the ceiling. It's like big chandelier type gem thing that they worship. It's like this heart of a mountain, literal, and then they have little gems, pieces of it that allow them to cast, and then like the general carries like the biggest and most powerful one that allows them to cast these spells all over, and that is the one that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the idea of the society worshiping this gem, and it's like its own god. So if you come close, it can like talk to you and speak to you. It'd be so fun as like a player too. It like can reach out and telepathically communicate to you and like tell you secrets and things about yourself that you never knew. It'd be so interesting.
I don't think it does it a lot though. I don't think it's
either.
an important part of their culture. I think it's just that like maybe there's like one called a gem spoken, and they're like it's once in a generation that a person is chosen to hear the words of the gem.
There's also a part of me that would like it to be a little bit of the opposite, not in terms of like it talks to society all the time, but like whatever mountain range it resides in, like you could hear whispers of the mountain speaking. But like
I definitely like that.
Understand it.
But I could see it being both. So one, you hear it, but being able to understand it is a different story.
Right. So then you're like, if you can understand it, you're like the gem spoken. Or
yes, exactly.
You're like, you're the one who's able to interpret and speak with it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think is be fun and why I like that idea is like the other race that we're communicating with, they hear these whispers and they don't like these whispers. And so their goal is to like find out and destroy it, right? So that they can have their mountain range, you know, not whisper. If that makes any sense. I'm trying not to explain it. That sounds really dumb, but
No, I mean, I get it. Yeah.
like they
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
right. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're at like war or anything right now, but
Yeah.
like, they are like, again, these are like ancient races. These are the beginning, the beginning races, and maybe, they don't know exactly what the history would be anymore, but it's like diverge these two groups, like maybe orcs and Goliaths or something, like something that's similar and close, but they've like diverged and left and done two different paths.
Yeah.
We could even do these races live together and then they split over this. And so then they like, like you have, I don't know, two races that are like dwarves and halflings, which we can't do because we already have dwarves, but
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would have them split. I like the idea of one loving these sounds because they believe them as a god, and the other just seeing them as a nuisance. It's hard to make that. It's hard to make that interesting, though. I'm trying to think of how to.
Well, so what I was thinking is maybe less along the lines of nuisance and more along the lines of like this race has like because of these sounds, they have like this natural exploration side to them and they want to go find what it is and they can't.
Huh.
And so their race is known as like the Wanderlust race, who just wander now because they are wandering in search of these sounds.
Now I want it to be the halflings, who we already said that they wander.
Oh, yeah, that nomadic group we were talking about?
Yeah, we already said they were nomadic and that they kind of would sing songs as they traveled, and that's why they became known as like bardic in nature, even though not all of them are.
And they sing the sounds of the gem.
They sing the sounds of the gem. That's
so cool.
Such a guess.
But now it makes me want, like, these nomads are actually the people who are supposed to be in communion with the gem, and the people who are currently are not. And the gem is lost to their nomadic tribe, like gypsies. Like they wander and are like they have some sort of religious thing they're searching for, but they can never find it.
I kind of want it to be more not that one group is not worthy. I want it to be more that the god or whoever it is wants them to be brought into the fold, not pushed away.
I have an idea now too. Oh my gosh. What if we just skip the mountains for a little bit and make this nomadic group, and these nomadic like tribes have like gems that hang from their like main carts that like give them the ability within their circle to cast spells. And they've been searching like bardic spells, and they've been searching for this main gem for so long, but they've never been able to find it.
I don't know if I'm feeling that.
Not feeling that?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, like, do we want, like, if these people, like, sing the song of the gem, right? Like, if they are searching for this gem, do we want it to be they're like the original, they're like the ones who are supposed to be in control and tending the gem?
No, I was saying I don't like that. I wanted it to be more that the gem wants them to be brought into the fold.
Okay, got it. So it is like a living entity that wants them to join this group, but it can't get them to, or
well. So I think it like maybe it sees the future as well, and that's part of the way that it talks. Is it kind of reads you, as you said, like it has that kind of a reading of a person, where it also can like tell them their future. And I think it sees a prosperous future for the people that are tending it, whatever race that is. But it sees them flourishing even more if they brought in the halflings. And so they want that for their people. But maybe their people are xenophobic, or at least, or not even like fully xenophobic, but maybe like partially. Like they still do dealings with the halflings, but they don't like let them in. And so this gem tries to do everything it can to kind of bring life into that community, which is stagnating.
Interesting. I mean, now I think, yeah. I mean, it's very difficult now because
Yeah, it is.
we're creating like a like a god, so to speak, that's like influencing people, and it's really hard to like refine that into like these basic races on how they're like obviously these races have created this god. I don't know. I mean, I love the idea of these like nomadic race who's like singing the songs of the gem,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why they can't find it.
Oh, well, so that's what I'm saying. That's why I think the race that currently has it is xenophobic. Because they're literally
but it's
not
like-
allowing the halflings in. So the halflings would never know,
But that
hey, that's where
feels
we
more
should...
like a future thing than it does like an original creation race thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how it... I mean, I think you are creating a future thing.
Yeah, well,
It doesn't
my
sound
only
like
other
it's the
thought would
beginning.
be
I think beginning, they're both just living in these mountains. Something happens where it continues to talk, and maybe a word is heard, or 2 words is heard on the wind. Find me, or something. So they go out. This race goes out searching. But I think that, as you said, is a way off thing. I don't think we need to come up with that now.
right. Yeah, and I just don't even know if I like one group is like hoarding. I think I like it even more that like nobody knows where it is still, and they're searching for it. If we're gonna go that route, except for maybe some.
Where do they know? Oh, why do they know it exists? Why would they even be searching for it in the first place?
Because they can just hear it. Like they can hear. I mean, maybe we just shelve this idea and not make it a mountain gem, and have that be with the nomads somewhere, and they just are searching for something that nobody's found. And this group is just tending this magical gem that gives them magical powers.
Yeah,
Maybe we just make it 2 different things.
yeah, so that works.
Because I think, I don't know, I'm having a hard time like having it be one thing.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of whatever race this is, like lives in the mountain with this gem, and this gem gives them like magical power, and they carry little gems around to be able to cast spells through them. And essentially be a wizard, like
Mm-hmm.
What race is it? That's something we haven't discussed.
I don't know. I'm not sure with this race.
Rock gnomes.
Myconids?
I like myconids. I mean, that could be really cool. I also... What races have we done? Do a quick... What races have we done? We've done gnomes, dwarves, drow. We've done...
We did Gifts,
Yep.
Goliaths,
Yep. We did...
Leonin.
Lizard folk. We did Dragonborn.
We did Leonin.
Yep.
We did a panther version of Leonin. Maybe we do a snow leopard.
What if we did like... And this might be a little bit far-fetched. What if we did like Yuan-Ti?
I like Yuan-Ti
like
in the mountains. I like that.
And their eyes like are the color of whatever gem it is. So like their eyes are green, and it's because it's an emerald or whatever, and that like shows like just like later down the line you have green eyes because of this gem, so long ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe there's even like a shimmer when they turn into their snake form or whatever of the same color.
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of reflects in their scales. It could be interesting. Trying to think what other race would fit.
So I do like Yuan-Ti in the mountains. I think
like
we keep
Aarakocra. I don't know if I want flying birds.
Okay, Kenku then. My
And they
favorite.
mimic the sounds of the gem.
My word, yes. I love
the
the
gem speaks
idea
to them.
that they can only echo the words of the gem.
Yeah, and they speak because the gem has echoed words to them. Mm-hmm. It'd be so weird and interesting.
Yes, and I don't know if I think it could still do
not the turn I was expecting to go, but here we are.
Yeah. So now we have Yuan-Ti, Kenku in the mountains, and we had halflings, and I think the halflings they quickly something happens, like with their home, so they leave their home in the mountains.
Do they become nomads? Are they the nomad race?
I thought that was what our always plan was, is that they're the nomads.
No, that was. I was just double checking.
Okay, cool.
No, I like that a lot. And so then the Yuan-Ti, what do they do then? If the Kenkus are the gem people and they like listen to the gem and they can speak because they're mimicking the sounds of the gem, what do the Yuan-Ti do?
Well, the Yuan-Ti are no. Okay. I was gonna have you both your ideas. So Yuan-Ti are the ones who Yuan-Ti are the ones who actually tend to the gem. The Kenku are the one who hear the gem through the wind.
Got it, and they can speak it because they're hearing.
Yes, they kind of can
gem.
whistle the sounds of the gem.
I love that. Okay,
yeah.
I like that a lot. Got it. Okay, yeah, I like that a lot. Kind of reminds me of like the Tibetan monks who can like whistle and do like bird sounds that like whistle across the mountains to communicate, and they have their own whistle language. I don't know.
Yeah,
they're actually not monks; they're just people, but they're like a people group. But anyways, fascinating language.
There's also the yodelers who yodel through the mountains.
Yeah. Well. Like, and I could hear, that'd be so interesting. Like, and they've added to the noises of the mountain, the whispers of the mountain. So some people, like, when they go there today, like when they still go there and they can still hear the whispers because the Kenku are like whisper and they communicate and like scream out across the mountains to each other and it like echoes and you can hear it. Interesting.
Yes. I like this. Okay. The Kenku's race, like the Kenku's culture, what is it? We got to go quick because we're running. We took a long time defining what we wanted to do.
Yeah. There's a part of me that wants like a Tibetan village type culture where like they just are like a small little village. They have small little villages all throughout the mountains, and they hunt and they raise livestock of some kind. Maybe like, I don't know, what would they raise? Do you see them as livestock raisers? Maybe not.
Rocks.
They raise rocks.
The big birds.
You wouldn't get a SpongeBob reference. Never mind. I was gonna make a SpongeBob.
Thank you for not making a SpongeBob reference. I would have gotten
these babies for miles. Anyways.
Yeah, I would have gone so far over my head. I'm glad you didn't make a SpongeBob reference.
I did it in the end just for the people listening. I don't know. What would they do to like survive, Like what do
Okay, now this is you're going to have to go with me here. This is going to be a little bit weird. I see the Kenku using their wings and their kind of claws and talons to move swiftly over small ledges on the mountains. So they kind of move up and around. They're really good maneuverability.
They're like mountain goats.
And they raise mountain goats because they're both really good about moving like that.
Well, that was one of my thoughts, which I think would be interesting. My other thought, which could be also very weird. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I don't like it.
Just say it and we'll laugh at you and then it'll all be over.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say some sort of like grub, insect that they raise in the ground.
Okay. How about this? They raise a grub and they have like a hub of them. There's like a grub hub.
I was so confused you were going with that at first. I was like, what?
But I think, no, that was a joke. That was all leading up to a terrible joke. But so, but no, I like the grubs, but I think that they should be able to grow really, really big. And I think the problem why most of these grubs don't grow very big is because it becomes hard to sustain them. Like their food intake is so large at a certain point because they can literally, I think they can grow infinitely. So as long as they have a food, they can keep growing, but they so rarely do. And I think that these little grubs are purple worms.
Oh gosh! Wow, that took a turn.
Yeah, so they start as these little grubs, but they can grow massive as long as they have enough food. But they just don't. They don't normally get enough food.
Hmm. I don't know. I like the mountain goat idea a lot. It's just so hard for me to picture a kenku raising a mountain goat, even raising like a giant grub. You
I
know,
love the idea of a giant grub, but I think it starts out really small. You ever
are there
like
houses made from like chitin of these like grubs they make then,
I don't know if purple
like
worms have
shells and
chitin. I'm gonna go check purple worms right now.
I don't know, but it could be interesting. And they have like these like chitin houses and
It would be interesting, or at least the purple worms help them carve their
like out of the stone.
yeah. Yeah, with a hide covered in chitinous plates. So yeah, they would have chitin if they wanted to build out of.
Because that would be what they would build out of then. Probably,
So I think they have small ones that they don't feed very much that they keep for eating. They have
Right.
medium-sized ones that they use for labor. They have large-scale ones that they raise like cows and then slaughter and use the chitin and meat.
Be very, very interesting. It's very unique.
It would. And I kind of love this idea of them.
And they're like, yeah, their houses are made of like this like chitin shingles and paneling.
Mm-hmm.
Be very interesting. Or even like the carcass of a worm.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I see them like running along the mountains and ridgelines with their like little claws and wings, and they're like, you know, like Naruto running.
Yeah.
And they whisper and communicate with each other in these weird whispers that they've been hearing from the mountains for centuries and centuries and centuries.
Mm-hmm.
I also picture these kenku as like still here later down the road, like this specific.
Oh, definitely.
Group.
I think
They are like
love
they
the
have
sounds.
stayed true to their they've stayed true to their culture for millennia, and they're like this ancient group of kenku that just reside in the mountains.
I like that idea too. Now, I like this Tibetan interesting culture that raises these worms for the kenku.
Yep.
What is the Yuan-Ti's culture?
Man, I mean, it's based around the gem, right? So I would think like, I mean, I do love me a good like Mayan temple type culture, you know, where they have this gem in the middle of it, like they've turned their mountain into some sort of like Mayan temple.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
And you know, inside is the heart of the mountain that they worship and get their power from. And then they have, like in normal D&D, they have like little snake tunnels and tubes that they, you know, can use when they transform into their snake form.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if Yuan-Ti transform into snake form. You keep saying that, and it's causing causing me real problems.
Because I thought in the Dungeon Master's Guide in the Yuan-Ti temples, they have their own little snake form tunnels that they they go through, and they can access places faster than the party can and set up ambushes and stuff.
So maybe full on. I'm thinking of the player race. I know the player race can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it might be just an ability of some of the Yuan-Ti priests or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm confused. I'm not confused. Now I'm interested and intrigued.
But yeah, so we'll deal on that later. We don't have much time. But so they worship this gem, and they build these giant ziggurats to it. What does this become? What is this? So they gods in our world are become something because they were worshipped. What is the god because the Yuan-Ti worship it?
I don't know. I'm not.
Is it
sure
the
exactly.
gem? Is it a being that gets power from the gem? Is the gem its conduit?
I just want the gem to be the god.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like it is the power source. It's just,
I kind of like the
that's
idea
what
of
it
that,
is.
but I want the gem to be kind of like not like a dead god, but like a god unable to actually like
I just want it to be. They found a big rock, and they started worshiping it, and because they've worshipped it, and so many people worshipped it, it gained power, and it became a god, and it now gives them power and magic. Like they spent so long scribing like ancient spells and rituals on it and worshiping it that it became a god.
Okay, so purebloods don't seem to be able to turn into snakes, but Yuanti half-bloods, which are like the lowest form of still considered true Yuanti. It literally says, like all true Yuanti, half-bloods had psionic powers. All Yuanti could morph their bodies into the form of any viper and sense the presence of any poison nearby by force of will alone. But when I went to purebloods, they didn't say anything about being able to turn into...
Yeah, because I know in the Dungeon Master's Guide, when you're creating a Yuanti temple, you have these little things they can slither down and move around and outmaneuver the party.
Oh, there it is. Like all Yuanti, they could morph their bodies into the form of vipers. Because, see, one of the biggest thing that's making me think that for some reason the player race can't do that is because at first I thought it could. Then I played one in your game, and I did it like in our first session, like our session 1. And then I was reading back the Yuanti page, and I couldn't find it again. I was like, wait, did I misread that? And so I couldn't find it saying that anywhere on the page, and I was like, what, did I just screw up and just use an ability that I shouldn't have?
No, yeah, I think they can't they?
Yeah, I'll have to look it up later. But
the race doesn't look like it can, but all the rest of the Yuantis can, like the non-player races.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, I think we'll just have... So, we have the 3 in the mountains. The halflings who had something happen that caused their homes to be destroyed, so they left the mountains and became nomads. Right. We had the Yuanti that live kind of in the mountains, where they are building ziggurats and things to their god, who they have chosen to worship as this large rock or geode.
Yeah, it's a giant gem.
Then there is the Kenku, who live outside in the kind of snowy, cold parts of the mountain, hearing whispers from the magic stone that the Yuanti worship, and they grow purple worms. They eat them they eat them when they're small, they ride them when they're large, and then when they're super large, they kill them and use their chitin to build.
Right. And I think the Yuanti, like, they just make their houses and stuff out of stone. And I think, like, inside the mountain, they have, like, cities that are underneath this massive...
Oh, 100%.
City that's underneath this massive...
I think it all, like, kind of, the whole city kind of, almost like the whole city kind of points towards the rock.
Right.
And maybe we even make it, like, partially like, I forget which religion it is. But the one that has the bells for when they need to pray...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so they ring this bell, and everybody faces towards where the rock is. No matter where you are in the city, you face towards the rock.
Well, I think it'd be interesting, too, if the rock was, like, hanging above the city and, like, providing light in the cavern.
Interesting.
Super interesting.
Then, I would say, because you just said a rock, so, like, you said a rock earlier in the episode. What if we made it a gem? Like, some sort of, like, it's still, like, more like it's more of a rock than it is, like, a nice gemstone.
Oh, I was thinking like a massive gemstone. I know I've said rock, but I was thinking like a giant...
Okay, so I kind of want it to be like one of those ones where it's still kind of rock-like. So it's partially translucent, but not fully. And what I want it to be, maybe even like a piece of amber. But so what it is there's kind of a small or maybe even like slightly big hole above it in the cavern. And so sunlight literally reflects off of the gem, and then the gem, because it's kind of this foggy, partially opaque appearance, it kind of diffuses the light into the cavern.
Interesting.
So it only has light during the day, and then at night it goes away.
What if it's like I can't remember what the word is, but like glow in the dark, and when it's done, when the light is done fusing through it, it like glows this green through the cavern at night.
I kind of like that too. Yeah, I like that. So it does show in the light during the day, and then it has this kind of greenish glow for night.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's really cool. I really like...
Yep.
It took a while to find what we wanted to talk about, but we got there.
Oh, man.
And I think we have a lot of interesting stuff for future episodes to talk about as well.
No, absolutely.
Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our last episode with our special one-shot. We're hoping to finish that soonish. We'll figure out a time.
We'll figure out when we're good. When we're good.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you all for listening. And if you listen to us on any podcasting apps where there's rating and reviews, please write a review. Let us know what you think about the show. We'd love to hear it, and it really helps the show by showing there's more people are engaging in more ways than just one. If you want to write to us, you can write to us at dungeoneer.hotmail.com. We'd love to hear from you if you have ideas for topics or lukewarm opens or, as Aaron always says, recipes.
Yeah,
I have not.
Checked that?
I have not recently.
Oh boy,
I've been really busy.
Oh, I gotta check it.
But I try to check it once a week, and if I don't get to, I'm sad. But we'd love to hear from you, from all your things, even if you just want to rant at us of like, I loved this thing that I made, and you just want to talk about this really cool thing you made. I'd love to hear that. I love world building in all forms.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, thank you for listening. Aaron, anything to add?
As always, nope.
Well, as I always say, always remember to be the sharpest barrel in the bunch. See you next time.
Bye.